Welcome to the Ohio Conference of Mennonite Church USA. You may be asking, what is conference and what do they do? In this video segment, we will be answering that question and explain the vital role that Ohio Conference plays in the life of its congregations. So what is Ohio Conference?
The basic essence, I think, for Ohio Conference is that, number one, it is a way in which we can unite and pool our collective gifts and abilities from all over the conference and the different congregations and individuals, that together we can do much more than any one person or congregation can individually.
75 congregations currently compose Ohio Conference. One of those congregations is in southeastern Michigan. 4 of them are in northwest Pennsylvania, and all the rest of them are within the state of Ohio. Conference provides the connections between and among congregations. Conference is the arrangement by which we can do together as a broader church what we're unable to do as individual congregations.
But what exactly does it mean to do something together? And what can we accomplish together as a conference that we cannot do on our own as individual congregations?
I think it's really important that we have this fellowship together, that even as congregations we aren't each out on our own, or even in our regional groups that we aren't all by ourselves, so we can learn from mission initiatives that have been tried in other places, so that we can support one another, whether it's financially or through prayer, or even in terms of our relationship and offering encouragement to one another.
One of the directives from Church Council and the congregation was that we felt it's important to be part of a conference and not just venture out and become an independent church. The support, encouragement, accountability, all of those things we felt were very vital and important in a congregation for health, for growth, and just not standing alone. And I think in times where things are going well, you also need that support. But when you have some times of conflict or just difficult times, when there's not a support system around you, whether that's through a conference or additional other churches around you, it can be a very lonely experience and maybe very deflating. And so we saw that as being very important. I know people struggle with what does a conference do, what's the purpose of a conference, but those are some of the main things. And I think we can tie in with our neighboring churches especially, and work together on projects and work together worshiping and encouraging each other and supporting each other. And so that's probably why we really wanted to be part of and want to be part of the Ohio Conference at this time.
So how does the Ohio Conference support its congregations?
One of the important roles of the conference is to be a support to our pastoral leaders. We feel that as we can create strong and healthy pastors, that helps congregations to be strong and healthy as well. One of the ways we do that is through our regional pastors.
Pastors oftentimes need someone to whom they can talk about whatever they need to discuss. And so I help them work through issues in their own families. Sometimes when there are conflicts in the congregation between them and the congregation for any reason, I help talk that through and try to resolve it.
A significant part of their role is to be a pastor to the congregational pastor.
Part of the work with pastors is being available for prayer and for support, meeting with them occasionally to check in with them and see how they're doing.
One of the most rewarding, however, for me also is the pastor peer groups.
These are regional clusters of pastors that get together.
Pastor peer group is an important time of fellowship and encouragement, growth and development, professional input, sharing concerns, ministry questions. All of these things are part of our pastor peer, as well as closing with praying for each other and upholding each other in your ministry.
A significant part of what we do is also relate to congregational lay leaders. Ideally, we help these people at a few critical times in the congregation's life. For example, when a congregation goes through a pastoral search process. Key leaders are put together to form a search committee. And that's an important time when usually the regional pastor from our structure meets with that search committee.
Meeting often with them and discerning the kinds of persons that will be best for their congregation to fill the role of pastor, and then working with pastoral candidates as they discern whether God is calling them to a given church or not.
Another important time is when congregations are in the visioning process.
To think about what their calling is, where their mission is, how to reach out to their community.
We like to come alongside the congregational lay leaders as they're working on their vision for what ministry they want to do in the particular setting they find themselves, so that we can assist them in that and also share with them resources that either we have available at the conference level, or we know other congregations in the other parts of conference who are also doing something similar that they may want to have conversations with, so they know in a better way how to minister in the area in which they find themselves.
Since I cover a large area and know a number of different pastors, oftentimes it's easy to say, well, whatever you might be dealing with, why don't you give such and such a pastor a call? They have gone through this similar kind of a thing, and maybe they can help you. So being that link between the conference as a group of churches and people working together, we can accomplish so much more together, jointly, than anyone can individually or any one congregation can.
As we have just heard, there are many advantages to being connected to a wider body of congregations. Instead of just going at it alone, connected congregations and pastors support each other's ministries, share resources, and keep each other accountable. On a national level, Ohio Conference serves the vital link of connecting congregations to the Mennonite Church USA denomination and its body of believers.
The way in which our new denomination, Mennonite Church USA, is set up, in order for a local congregation and all of its members to be part of Mennonite Church USA, they must belong to one of the 21 area conferences in Mennonite Church USA.
Ohio Conference, I think, fills a really key role between the denomination and the congregations as well to help information flow back and forth.
So Ohio Conference provides that mechanism for the 75 congregations that are currently a part of Ohio Conference to belong to the larger denomination.
Much of the work that Ohio Conference does in supporting congregations and ministries throughout the conference is done behind the scenes. Several different ministry teams bring necessary structural organization to the ongoing ministry of the conference.
The way Ohio Conference is currently structured, we now have a leadership team which functions primarily as our executive group. That's the group that makes the decisions between our annual conference assemblies. The next group is a larger group that includes the leadership team. We call that the ministry development team. This group is the one who is primarily responsible for the programmatic function of the conference. We have 3 persons on that team, one of each whose primary responsibility is to attend to the core values we have around worship, witness, and faith. We also know that along with the dreamers in developing programmatic ideas, we also need to have people who have their feet firmly planted on the ground. For lack of a better term, we've called them planners and strategists. And we have 4 persons from the wider conference who serve in that fashion.